let's talk about yoga, because yoga has, you know, been really influential in my life, and obviously influential in your life. So how does yoga affect who you are?
Well, I started practicing yoga on September 12th, 2001, right after the attacks of September 11th. And before that, I was practicing meditation for about 5 or 6 years, where I would just sit. I would sit before every show, I'd sit after every show. And the reason I did it is because I felt like I was taking on so much energy and putting out so much energy in the show, and I was feeling depleted. And so I started this practice of meditation, but my body was so sore and so tight that I couldn't sit for more than, you know, like if I sat for 20 minutes, by the end of it I was just in excruciating pain. And so a friend of mine suggested I try yoga, and she was a yoga teacher, and so when we were passing through her city, she gave our whole band a class. And from that, I was so inspired. I was the only one in the band who stuck with it, but I started going every day. I started seeking out teachers, and Sharon Gannon and David Lai from Jivamukti Yoga were coming to my city one day, and I went to their class, and I just, in listening to Sharon and David speak, I was just like, I want that clarity, I want that focus, you know. And Sharon said something to me, to the class, as you said. She said that, she asked the question, how do you know when your practice is getting deeper? And people raised their hand like, oh, if you could stand on your head for 10 minutes, you know, if you could touch your toes with your nose, if you could do like all these different things. And she said, no, the way that you can tell if your practice is getting deeper is if you mean what you say and you say what you mean. And that really stuck with me. I even wrote a song about it, the song Nobody Right, Nobody Wrong, and I used that quote in the bridge of the song. And so through my practice of yoga, I thought at first that it would be something just to relieve stress, which it is. And then I thought it would be something to get in better shape, physical shape, which it is. But ultimately for me, my practice is something that keeps me feeling aware of the moment.
That's great.
Yeah.
So a little yoga story at Ubuntu Fund. Well, we actually have yoga there now, because when I went down years ago with my yoga teacher, who actually happens to be the cameraman's father, and he said, well, you know what, we should start teaching the Ubuntu staff yoga. It'll be really good for them, because the Ubuntu staff are dealing with really traumatic cases. I mean, young kids who've been raped. I mean, really, it's tough. I mean, you're dealing day to day with, you know, when you're dealing with a 3 or 4 year old kid who's been raped, or you're dealing with kids who've got no parents. It's tough work. So Lindsay Clennell, who's my yoga teacher, said, you know, we should send down a yoga teacher to start teaching them yoga. I said, it's Africa, they're not going to get into yoga. You're wasting your time. So he says, no, let's do it. So he sort of gave a demonstration. The staff were interested. And so we organized an Iyengar yoga teacher to go down and teach. They loved it. Now we actually have a local yoga teacher comes and teaches the kids.
Wow.
So, and the kids love it.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, I had this misperception that yoga Africa just wouldn't work.
Yeah.
And it's become a hit.
Yeah.
And that's what I actually love about the Ubuntu Fund, that it's sort of open to trying, you know, all these things, and yoga is just one of our successful programs for kids.
Nice.
And I think if we could have yoga in schools for kids, it would be unbelievable. I mean, I know how much I tend to get very heady, and yoga's been really helpful for me to stay centered and present. So you know, I think yoga has saved my life, and if we could get into the schools, it would be great.
Yeah, definitely. I know people that are bringing yoga into schools.
Yeah.
There's a Yoga for Youth project in Canada that we support, and there's also a number of people that I know who are bringing yoga into prisons, bringing yoga into office spaces, and onto sports teams, and it's such a great part of body awareness and health, of connecting the heart and the mind and the body to everything else that's happening in the world. And that's the thing that I love about Sharon Gannon and David Life. Their teaching is not about just what you do on your mat. It's taking what you learn about yourself on your mat and bringing that out into the world.
Right, which is what yoga should be.
Yeah.
It's not, unfortunately, too many perceive it as they want a good stretch.
Yeah.